In this video, I'm going to show you how you're going to maximize your profits of the photo studio you want to get or the one you already have. Now, these are all based off of my own hard lessons and having my own photo studio in downtown Los Angeles. And this is the latest video on a very complete playlist that goes through everything you should do, everything you shouldn't do, everything you need in a photo studio. So if you're looking to open one, this playlist right here is going to help you out a lot. Now let's get started with point number 1 in maximizing profits in your own photography studio. So point number 1 is that people are inherently lazy. I'll tell you what, this light right here is set up on a C-stand. For me to be able to move a C-stand from this side of the table to that side, it took about 3 minutes of just thinking and whining about it and going, I don't want to do this. Let's just make it a darker video. Who cares? Now imagine me not being right here in my office area, and imagine me going into a photo studio. I'm battling downtown. I'm battling whatever streets there may be. And what I'm battling also is my camera gear and people and time and everything. I don't want to carry a C-stand. I don't want to carry a steamer. And I don't want to carry one of those things that open in the middle of you just carrying them, the rolling rack. Your stylist doesn't want to do it. Nobody wants to do that. We want to just come in, we want to rent your studio, and we want to pay. Now, speaking of paying, it is very, very common for you to offer basically one rolling rack, one C-stand for your clients. If they're renting your studio, you should give them at least that. Now, you want a second C-stand, you want a second rolling rack, you should be paying for that, and it's absolutely normal, and you should never feel bad about it. Now, I'll give you an example. On a photo shoot, a general photo shoot, I will probably want about 5 C-stands. Probably, let's just say 4. Let's be super conservative. I'll probably use 3 of them, but I want to have 1 extra just in case. I'll give you a little bit of a hack. Sometimes your clients just want to see C-stands open. They want to see tripods open because they want to know what they're paying for. They don't really know everything that is involved in having a professional photo shoot go through and be successful. Sometimes just open up the C-stands. Sometimes it's worth that $5 rental fee. Now, assuming you're going to have, let's just say, 1 photo shoot a day. We're not even talking about stacking photo shoots like something in the AM and something in the PM. Let's just assume you have 1 client and you're not really that busy of a studio, but you have somebody every single day. So we'll say 5 shoots a week. There's just no way you're not going to book that. You should be having 10 or 15. Do the math. $5 each times 4. That's $20 per studio rental. $20 a day times 5. It's $100 a week. Doesn't mean it's going to change your life, but 100 times 4 suddenly is $400 a month. That covers your internet bill and maybe your electricity bill. That covers possibly your social media person so that they can cover marketing your studio for you. But $400 a month times 12, it is $4,800 a year. Let's just say $5,000, just for easy conversation, easy math. What can you do with $5,000 a year? Can you buy a new camera every year? I don't think you should, but you might be able to. Can you furnish all new gear, all new lights and modifiers in your studio? Yes, you can. Can that pay for all the advertisement and then some? Yes, it can. Or can it just get you a vacation and some retirement money? Yes, it can, and yes, it should. Charge for the things that people don't want to carry. It's optional. They don't have to rent it from you. And you think you're like, oh, I'm going to get Waleed to rent 4 C-stands from me for $20. I don't think that way as a client. I actually think, awesome, they're going to help me out by providing it there. I only have to pay $20. All right, let's go to point number 2. Point number 2 in making more money from your photography studio actually has an A and a B point. And it's very common for you to charge for this, even though a lot of people may not feel that it's proper. Part A of point number 2 is you can charge for electricity, and you should be charging for electricity. What I mean by that is that if it's like a very small photo shoot of 3, 4, 5 people, you really don't have to, or you could charge $5 or $10 additional. That's not really for you. It's if you get like 10 people, 12, 15 people, which is very common for photo shoots. Now you have 10 or 15 people plugging in their iPads and their chargers and using the restroom and everything else. So that does cost your business. The house pays a lot more for that electricity and the AC is running more, etc. If you should be so lucky to have air conditioning. If you have a warehouse, for example, I had a warehouse, 5-point studio in downtown Los Angeles, where I would charge $2, $3, $4, up to even $800 for electricity. The reason why is sometimes I would have 80 to 90 people working on a major movie. Well, I'm not going to pay for everyone's electricity out of pocket. So you could potentially run a generator, one or two of them, about $1,200, $1,400 each, and then you have a security guard outside just watching the generators. Then you have to have a delivery and a pickup fee, and then you have to fill the generator with what? Expensive gasoline. Or you could just tap into the house power if they have enough wattage, and I did have enough wattage. It's just standard, we've accepted it, and you should put more money in your pocket and not operate as a funding everyone's shoe out of pocket. Now, part B, the second part of number 2, is being a studio manager. So when I had my own studio, one of the things that I would do is say, okay, cool. So you're gonna rent my studio for $500, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, depending on the production and the number of people and the number of hours you were using it. But you're paying for the house, you're paying for everything else. But who's the person that's gonna be acting as an employee? Who's the person that's gonna say, it's me, spoiler, that says, do you guys have any trash bags? We ran out. Hey, is there an extra broom? Hey, what is the name of that neighbor? Because their car is blocking our shot and we're going to pay him like $200 to move their car so we can just get the shot out of the way. Let me call him. His name is Julio. My neighbor's name was Julio. So that right there is giving them insight to the community, to the neighborhood, to the building, and they are more than happy to pay for that. A studio manager is a very typical fee for a medium to a larger photo shoot. Now, some people might be saying, yeah, Waleed, but I'm not getting movies and commercials and stuff in my studio. Maybe you will one day, but I want you to have the education. Or maybe you're one of the people that hosted your own home in Peerspace or Gigster. Those are standard fees. Now let's go to point number 3. Footprints is something that I did charge for in my studio, and here is why. As ridiculous as it sounds, I think that it's more ridiculous that people think it's okay to stand there and stand on one foot and then one foot is up against the wall. So I would see crew guys and ladies that would be standing against the wall talking about whatever they did the night before or the week before, and they're just waiting, and they would put one foot up against the wall. Now here's the thing. They don't do that in their own homes. They don't do that at their mom and dad's home. They don't do that in a hotel or a wedding. So why do that in my studio? I had to lay the boundaries with the producer. Ultimately, everything comes down on the producer. They are the money people. So what I would do is I would make you sign a contract. And on the contracts, at the bottom of each page, I would have you initial. One of the initials was that you're going to pay $10 per footprint. So if I had to be a tyrant, contractually, I had the right to go be a tyrant. Now, I would say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. $80 removed from security deposit, or $80 additional that you have to pay. But very often didn't even reach that level because of the fact that the producers knew that if their crew members, let's just call them children because I'll give you an example, if their children were out of line, then they would be held responsible. Now, isn't that what you would do if you were a parent? That if somebody said, if your child breaks this, you break it, you bought it, you make sure that your child isn't touching everything in the store aisles or shelves. Footprints, we charge $10 for footprints. Point number 4, I'm going to stay in the exact same location, is paint is very expensive. Just like everything else, paint brushes are expensive. The paint drops on the ground are expensive. Your time and your energy and your mental health is expensive. So how do we make it easier? Yes, I said we're going to charge for footprints to make sure that people aren't leaving footprints. It's a preventive measure. But then all of that paint got to be very expensive. So I would buy like the big buckets from Home Depot, but it's very easy for those paint rollers to soak up all of that paint, especially if I was painting over like a large white cyc. And that takes a lot of paint. That would sometimes even take half a bucket. Now, I'm not a professional painter, and I'm sure there's other ways to make sure that you don't use as much paint, but I would just have to roll this out after the production and then make sure that it has enough time to dry before the next production comes in. So you can imagine that spending a lot of money on paint, that's a true situation. Until somebody told me, Waleed, basically take the paint, pour half of it into one bucket and half into another bucket. So your 5-gallon bucket or 10 gallons is now half and half. And then add about another 1 gallon of water to it. That's going to give you very, very runny white paint. But for a white cyc, that was this large area, that's all I need. I need something runny, I need something thick, because the stains are nothing more than footprints. But adding water to my paint would still give me the exact same layer of paint, because I'm not going from like blue to pink to white to black. It was white over white over white over white. So you just needed a tiny bit, and you'd be surprised how much paint will cost you by the end of the year. Now let's talk about point number 5, and then I have a bonus point for you too. So let's get going. Half your money is gonna come from actual photography studio rentals. The other half is not. It's gonna come from other stuff if you allow other sources of revenue to come in for you. So I'll tell you what I've done. I've done baby showers, I've done weddings there. I have done production meetings. I have done where a stylist rented my entire studio for a huge celebrity, because the Staples Center, now it's called Crypto Center or Crypto.com Arena or something like that. And that was maybe 2 miles down the road. So they needed a space where they can feel comfortable, where they can have some nice couches and furniture and try on different outfits and have the whole space to themselves, play the music they want and not be stuffed in a big hotel room. You can have anybody come in there if you want it to be, and as long as it's something legal. I don't know why I have to say that, but I feel like I have to say that. So when I tell you half my money came from photo studio, the other half came from places that I thought, oh my God, I never knew. Now there's a sub part to this too. I think it's unethical to poach someone else's client. I think that you think that also. But since it's my studio, since it's your studio, here's what I did do. I took up a wall exactly the width, literally exactly the width behind me. And I put up my pictures that I shot of Kanye and Usher and Sierra, and who else was there? Some other people. I forget who I had there. And guess what? Producers and managers and publicists and record label executives would be standing there and going, you know, just wasting time because they're waiting for the next shot. And it's not my shoot, they're just renting my studio. They say at some point, who took all these shots? Were these photographed here in the studio? And I would just say, no, that's just my own work. And like, really? That's your work? And then they would say, do you have a card? Or can I get your information? I never poached someone else's client, but my work was there because it was my studio and they wanted to approach me about other projects. I got a lot of clients that way. I would like for you to consider using your studio that way. So let's go into the bonus one. You can make a whole lot of money in a photo studio, but right now I'm gonna ask you to be a little bit patient. Use my whole playlist here again to see what else I offer, what other information I offer, but pause and take notes and don't get a photo studio yet. Literally just wait. Here's why. Recessions. People are stuck in long-term leases that they won't be able to afford. Leases are great things to be stuck in. Leases are horrible things to be stuck in. So if you're stuck in a very, very good lease, that's a great place. They can't raise it on you. If you're stuck in a very bad lease, that's horrible. You're going to get stuck and you may go out of business. So what I would like for you to do is watch my whole playlist of things that you want to do with a photo studio, ways to make money, additional things you may not have even thought about, collect, go see the locations available in your city, and then wait and watch. The economy is only going to get worse. And the lease that I want you to get is going to be so incredible. And there's going to be a whole list of things that I want you to ask in this lease. But instead of me listing all 8 things, this video right here is actually my leasing video for a studio. Ask those 8 questions, get those 8 points on your lease, and you're gonna go probably from making $80,000 to $140,000 or $140,000 to $200,000. It's no joke. Follow those tips. It's from my experience, and you're gonna do very well. That is the bonus one. Thank you for watching. I hope I see you again. Click subscribe, click the bell, leave a comment, a thumbs up. All of that would be appreciated. My name is Walid. I'll see you on the next one.